Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. You've landed in the right place to learn how to own your story, release subconscious beliefs, rewire your mind, and step into the impact you know you're here to create. Through Outspoken Publishing and NLP certifications, we share the tools and subconscious shifts that expand your voice, your message, your confidence, and your leadership. I am your host, Marsha Van Weinsberg, NLP trainer, speaker, author, and publisher. I am thrilled you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. Today we are speaking with Anton Grosz, and we had such an incredible, deep conversation. Anton was born into a Jewish but profoundly atheist family, and he was denied anything religious for the first half of his life. In 1978, at the age of 37, he discovered spirituality through a near-death experience, going through a tunnel into the light and experiencing a reality different and greater than anything he could have ever thought possible. He describes it in detail in the show. Since then, he has devoted his life to studying different spiritual paths, leading meditation practices, and helping those at the end of life. He has written a number of books that he's going to share on the show, and especially his first book, Letters to a Dying Friend, What Comes Next, and it has an introduction by the Dalai Lama. This was such a beautiful, beautiful conversation. We talked all about new consciousness and what this is and how we can all embrace it. We talked about the power of I am, be happy, be kind, and that's it. You'll know when you listen to the show. And we have such a beautiful conversation talking about how do we show up and lead ourselves, especially in a time that we are walking through. I absolutely loved this conversation with Anton today. I know you're going to love it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, Anton.
Well, thank you. My pleasure to be here. And thanks for inviting me, Marsha.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We were having this fun conversation that I didn't hit record on fast enough. And I think it's fair to ask. Can you tell everyone how old you are? I love this.
Tell you how old I am?
Sure.
I'm 85 years old.
It's the best.
And Marsha, I have no idea how I got here. I mean, truthfully, I remember as a teenager thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be 60 years old when the millennium changes, if I even make it that far. And now the new century is over a quarter of the way over. I don't believe it.
I love
Just
that thinking.
Amazing.
When you think of that and you remember looking back and going, okay, at the turn of the century, I'm going to be 60 years old.
Yeah.
Your thinking then and your thinking now must be different.
Oh my God, it couldn't be. It couldn't be more different. Well, there is some stuff that is absolutely the same. And, I can tell you the same first, and then I'll tell you the differences.
Let's go with same first.
Okay. Back at my 8th birthday, and I remember it so clearly, my Aunt Claire asked me, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be happy. And my mother's walking past, and she stopped, and she says, you can't be happy. You have to be something. Now, despite my mother's words, I swear to you, Marsha, that may have been one of the most defining moments of my life, because that's all I have really wanted, and I mean, my life had changed, obviously, from those days, but I did what I was supposed to do. I got good marks in school, and I, wanted to get a job and tried to get good, reports from my employer. I didn't always get that, so I ended up leaving and being a writer, but that's another story. But just to be happy, and I lead meditation groups now, And when I ask the people beforehand, okay, I want you to tell me what is it that you're good at? And, we go with a meet and greet before we start the meditation session, and they'll tell me the things that that they're good at. And then I've also said, I'll bet if I said to you, what do you like doing? What do you do that makes you happy? It would be the same thing. And most of the time, that's exactly what it is. That's who we are. We try to be happy. In fact, man, you're getting, I'm talking about already,
I love it.
you're sitting there smiling and you're fun to look. Dita, well, I boiled my life down to three rules of life.
Mhm.
Rule one, be happy. Rule two, be kind. Rule three, that's it. If you're happy on the inside, you're kind on the outside. What else is there?
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Okay, 3 rules. Like, think about that. Wow, how different would our life and world look if we went and lived by those 3 rules?
Oh my God, it would be completely different. This is what a main thing of what my book is about, the Handbook for a New Consciousness. Basically, it says we are not separate leaves, we're one tree.
Mhm.
The the feeling, that of I am that we each have inside is the same feeling. And I can get into that, at some point. But if I hurt somebody, I'm hurting myself because we are all connected.
Mhm.
And I came up with just a little image that I actually have in the book. What if there were eyes on the end of the finger? And they looked out and they saw the thumb and they said, you stupid thumb coming from all the way over there. Take that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And they scratched the thumb and thumb got infected and it went down into the hand and back up into the fingers. And the fingers got infected because they had attacked the thumb. Would they have attacked the thumb if they knew that they were all connected? Probably not. Hopefully, humanity is going to learn that. That's why I call my subtitle is the next, step in human evolution. Hopefully, we're going to learn that we're all connected and that if I hurt someone else, I'm hurting myself. It just doesn't make sense to do that. So
Oh,
be kind, be happy, be kind. That's
that's
it.
it.
That's
That's
it.
it. It it is such a beautiful and simple concept that just is really, I mean, the hand to me and the eyes and the thumb, how you just explained that is so true, right? If we could just see that we are so connected. When I'm in a space and I hear somebody talk so poorly about someone else, I almost feel a visceral inside of me. I'm like, "Oh my god, get me away from this." Like, this is just, I don't
Sure.
do this, and I don't have an opinion. I just don't, I'm not part of this. This is not part of me.
Yeah. You realize, I mean, so many of us, when somebody is different and has different opinions, we say they're wrong. And God forbid, some people say they're bad.
Mhm.
But, you know, they're just different. And I guarantee that if you were born and raised in that setting where that person grew up, there's a very good chance you believe the same thing they do. It's amazing when you get to be my age, you've come up with so many different analogies.
Mhm.
Here's one that crossed my mind, a number of years ago. What if, as an infant, you were flying across Australia with your family and the plane crashed and everybody died except for you? Now, the native people would have heard the plane going across. They would have heard the crash and they would have gone to see what happened. And if they saw that everybody is dead except for this one little infant, they wouldn't have left you there. They would have taken you back with them, right?
Mhm.
Now, imagine how different you would be today You'd speak a different language. All right. You'd have different food. You'd have different religious beliefs. You might not be able to drive a car, but you could sure run a lot faster than you probably can now. You'd be completely different. Well, would that make you a bad person? I don't think so. You're still I am. You're still Marsha, except of course they'd call you something different, which I probably can't pronounce. But that's something else. But yeah, that's the whole point. We are different. How boring it would have been for the creator if we were all the same.
Mhm. I think the way that you've shared that is so beautiful, and it's very, I just wanna say, like, open-minded, worldly type opinion, like, just an open consciousness, obviously. How did you get to be this way? Were you always this way with your thinking? Well, I know the answer, but what can you share a little bit of your story? Because there's some major turning points for you where it didn't look like this.
Well, as a matter of fact, yes. I had a major, major turning point back almost, oh my God, almost half a century ago, 48 years ago. I had a near death experience, went through the tunnel into the light. In fact, tomorrow, or the day after we're recording this, is the 48th anniversary of my rebirth day. But I won't get into the whole thing other than say it was due to lack of oxygen. And not just I was holding my breath, but there was no air in my lungs at all. And uh, my body started, I couldn't bring you that. My body started quivering and quaking like an earthquake. And then I felt like I was drowning, like in a flood. And then like I was burning up in a fire. And I later learned that according to the Tibetans in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, that these are the first three steps of leaving your body, separating from the earth element, separating from the water element, separating from the fire element. The next thing is separating from the air element, which I had already been separated from for a number of minutes. The only thing connecting me to my body was something that the Tibetans call the ether element, which sounds pretty nebulous to me, you know. But in any event, I felt that I was dying. And I saw this little, I thought went through my mind, no, God will not let me die while I'm searching for him. And I thought, this is weird because I'm an atheist.
What?
Never believed anything. I grew up in a Jewish family, but if they were atheists, I never went to temple. I would never bar mitzvah to the kid. I would never studied anything. Um, so then I saw this little speck of light at the top of my head and began getting larger and larger. And I remember thinking, oh, this is going through the tunnel, what the people experience, what Raymond Moody wrote about in Life After Life and near-death experiences. And suddenly I went through the tunnel, came out the other side into the brightest light I could have experienced. Unbelievable. And I felt multiple dimensions. Can I describe them? No. But it's like if well, I can go there too, but there's no way to describe the other dimensions other than, this is more than three dimensions in time, and I felt a oneness that I'd never experienced before. I felt wires being pulled out of my brain, like, telephone switchboard.
Mhm.
And I happened to be on my bed at the time. I fell off. I was rolling on the ground like an epileptic fit. Um, when I was one way, I could, you know, see where I was. When I turned my head the other way, I went back into space. I saw Earth, a bit yin yang symbol. Everything is balanced. Just an unbelievable experience. And when finally I felt the wires pushed back into my brain, but in a different place than they had been, and I could control my body, I was on my knees with my hands like this.
Oh, wow.
And my first words were, I am reborn. I am reborn in God. And I was just amazed. But what happened, Marsha, is that I had experienced this other dimension that I never had before. And suddenly all of it was real. You know the book, Life After Life?
Hmm.
Okay. I had read that, and it was
Before
amazing.
this happened, can I ask you?
Before this
Okay,
happened,
before. Okay.
yeah, before this happened, I'd read it, and it had struck me how it had to be real because these were people from different cultures, different languages, different religions, different parts of the world, and they were all describing the same thing.
Hmm.
I was on the operating table and I went through this tunnel into the right, or my car hit a tree and I suddenly, boom, I went through a tunnel and they all described the same thing. They couldn't be making it up or getting together to do it. It must have been real. And that's what I experienced. And so it stuck with me. Um, and interestingly enough, um, interestingly enough, I had an earlier experience in college that made me appreciate what had just happened. All right. I know that it was real, if I may.
Hmm.
All right. This is a completely different thing, but it all leads up. You see, when you take the time, by the way, if I may just interrupt myself, thank you very much. Okay. If you take the time to, to take a look at your life and the things that have happened, you see how they build up on each other and how
Connected.
step by step by step, and you are just exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Back in college, um, I'm walking across campus and there's a sign that says, psychology department tests $5. Now, back in those days, all right, I graduated college in 1961, so $5 was a lot of money in those days.
Hmm.
And so I went in to take the test, and you answered questions. These were people who were writing theses and dissertations, and they needed documentation and nothing. And the very last one I went to was in a room, and there were 5 panels with um, a red light and a green light on them, and push buttons underneath the red and green light. And the panels were separated by, little uh, side walls like you have on Jeopardy between the contestants. And there were 4 other students there. And in the corner of the room was a professor in a glass booth. He said, "Oh, the 5th one is here. We can start our test now." So we all got behind one of these panels. And he said, "We're going to have test of reaction time. I'm going to push a button in here that's going to set a red or green light on the panel for each of you. It's going to be exactly the same for all of you. You push whatever it is, and we'll keep going faster and faster until somebody misses." Okay, so it's red, I put red, green, I put green, back and forth. Suddenly, beep, professor says, "Somebody missed, that's it." And the guy at the end, he says, "Okay, who pushed red?" I said, "I did." He said, "You're wrong, it was green." I said, "No, it wasn't. It was red." He said, "I'm sorry, mine was green." And the professor said they'd all be the same. Well, I said, "Well, Maybe yours was, but mine was red. And then the woman over here said, well, mine was green. And the other one said, mine was, well, I don't care. I know what I saw. And the guy again said, well, you're nuts. I said, you call me a liar, you son of, and we started to go at each other.
Oh my gosh.
And I suddenly felt my hands held like this behind, and it's the professor out of the corner. He says, easy, son, easy, son. He said, you were right. It was red. This is not a test of hand-eye coordination. This is a test of how someone stands up to peer pressure. You did very, very well. Here, your chick, go turn this in, get your $5 at the desk. Oh, I was so ticked off. I was so angry. That's not fair to make you feel rotten like this and angry to be. And I forgot about it until years later when I had the experience that I just told you about. And people are saying, oh, come on, that didn't happen. Oh, yes, it did. I know what I experienced. I went through the tunnel. I experienced multiple dimensions. I did interviews after my first book, Letters to a Dying Friend, which was a Western version of the Tibetan Book of the Day without all the head-armed deities and all. And people would call in afterwards and said, I had an experience like that too, but my mother or my sister said, oh, you're hallucinating. You were crazy. You didn't have it. So I forgot about it. Could that have changed my life? Oh, yes, it could have. And in fact, it still can.
Mm-hmm.
You believe what you experience. We live. Marsha, you got me going here. You're good at this. We
They say that.
we we live in between an outside world and an inside world, right?
Mm-hmm.
The world outside can be measured, but has no meaning. Science says, you got to measure that if it, prove it's true. But the world inside is what has meaning, but can't be measured. But both of them are true for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you and I were walking down the street at some point, up until now, we'd walk right past each other. We might smile, but that's it because our faces and our faces, but they don't mean anything per se. You can measure them, but they don't mean it. Now that we've seen each other, you probably say, wait a minute, you're that old guy I interviewed the other day, right? And I say, Marsha, how you doing? All right. Because they have meaning, but nothing outside has changed. You follow what I'm saying?
I do. I think it's really powerful when we think about, there's so many things you're saying that make me think about how what it comes down to is how we see it. And I love the example of, are you willing to stand up for yourself? Are you willing to speak it? I had a back surgery in 2020 during the pandemic. So a very scary time in the hospital. It was not a fun time to be in the hospital. And it was an emergency one. And there was one point where they couldn't get me out of recovery because they couldn't stop my bleeding. My bleeding was aggressive. And I have this moment where I could hear them talking and I could hear the nurses and what they were saying, yet I wasn't in my body. I'm going to tell you right now, I wasn't in my body. I was actually at the edge of my bed and I saw myself. And it was so wild because it was clear as a bell, so clear. And I just remember having this moment of this isn't the end, Marsha. This isn't it. This is not it. This is not the time. And it was so clear, so much so the next morning I said something to the nurse and she said, who told you that? And I said, well, I know they were getting me ready for a transfusion. And in my brain and in my body, I'm like, you're not doing that. It's not, I will be fine. I will be fine. And She said, "Who told you that?" I said, "Well, I was technically here." She goes, "You were not here last night. Like, we were actually very concerned." And I'm like, "Oh, I was here. I was here and I heard the whole thing." And it was the wild, yeah, and it was a very, it really did change my perception of things. And it was just I guess it took me a while to even think of that as a near death experience because it wasn't like bright lights and like a tunnel. It wasn't that, but it was me separate from me. And I was across the room watching myself in bed. And I'm like, I am actually over here, but I'm over there. And it was an interesting experience.
That's a brilliant, brilliant experience. And you are fortunate to have had it and to be back here now because I guarantee you, you're never going to forget that.
No, I have never forgot it. No.
And Marsha, there's going to come a time when you're going to leave the body for good
Mm.
because we all do. All physical beings die, come to an end from, plants to insects to animals to humans to trees to stars to galaxies.
Mhm.
Anything that is physical comes to an end. But what you have discovered, and not by studying it, but by experiencing it, you know it because I've been there, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's the same that I am, and that is that the feeling of existing takes place and can happen, can be outside of the body. We do not need, as it turns out, the body. It's just a role that we play. Look, when you're a young woman, all right?
Thank
Um,
you. I'm gonna say that. Some days I don't feel it, but yes, I can say thank you.
you are okay. Okay. Trust me, I got kids older than you are. But that's beside the point. I look at myself in the mirror and I say, oh my God, who is that old man? Well, I know who it is. It's me. I am that person. And this is one of the things that I do, by the way, in the book. I have you going back and forth, looking in the mirror. What do you have in common with that person?
Hmm.
And then take a picture of yourself with a child. What do I have in common with that person? Well, the person in the mirror, you're exactly the same as that person, except, of course, if you're left-handed or right-handed.
Yeah, mirror reflection. Yes.
Right. But if you're talking about a picture of you as a kid, you're not the same as that anymore. They're not, because you know things that that kid didn't. You've been to college, you've had a relationship, you've done things, but there was a time when you looked in the mirror and that was exactly who you were. So you can, in effect, go back in time and be there again,
Mm.
right? Now, think about this. In both cases, the feeling I am is exactly the same, isn't it?
It is, and that's where I wanted to take you was this I am piece. I love what you're saying. I can just picture this, like, to me, inner child healing was one of the best things I could have ever done. And I think it really, I kept a picture of myself on my desk for at 8 years old for probably like a couple years. You're gonna pull one out, aren't you?
I am. I took this picture and I put it into a paperweight for my grandfather.
Oh, that is
Well,
incredible. Oh, I know. That's okay. Incredible. Oh my gosh, incredible.
now
Incredible.
you see him holding a
I
football?
I do. I do. So what you are saying, if we can come to face and see and be like I am with that version of ourselves, that heals us in a very unique way, or is that how we actually understand consciousness? You tell me where.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, because it's both. It's everything. I am. Look, in the Bible, John 14:6, Jesus says, "What I am the way."
Mhm.
Right? But I don't want to, you know, surprised you here, but he didn't speak English, right? His book was Aramaic, and Aramaic could have been translated, in fact, as not "I am the way," but "I am is the way." Okay,
Oh.
it could just the same way. And what is it? Luke 17:21, where he says, "The kingdom of God is within you." What is John 20:21? I forget. But the kingdom of God is within you. That is what it really and truly is all about. And that's what I discovered on the day of my, near-death experience. And I've had half a century pretty much to study it. I studied all the different religions that I could, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, indigenous people, and they basically all say the same thing in different ways, right? That we are all connected. The oneness is the thing that we have in common. When I say I am and you say I am, it's the same I am. And that I am is consciousness, which is the oneness in the universe. Even science is coming around to that now these days. They are saying, "Oh, well, we don't believe in God, but there's a singular energy that fills the entire universe. We're calling it dark matter or dark energy." Well, it doesn't matter what you call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a singularness, what kind of word is that? Is a singularity that fills everything, and that comes down to individual little parts that it plays. I got a doctorate in the evolution of human consciousness out of the California Institute of Integral Studies. And that was a school that was founded by a man named Dr. Hardas Chaudhry, who was a disciple of Sri Aurobindo, who was an Indian avatar, holy person, who believed that the nature of reality is one side, pure energy, pure consciousness, no matter. The other side, matter, without the energy, that this energy dissolves down into matter and then comes back again. Devolution and evolution. And when you think about it, this is what both the Bible says and what scientists say. What's the first thing in the universe? Let there be light, right? Light, an energy source. And then slowly it solidified, it comes down until, look, there was a time when rocks were the most evolved being on our planet, right?
Yes.
Right? The rock had this energy source running through it, the I am feeling, but the rock doesn't know it, right? Um, what's next? After plants, plant. Can you imagine the huge evolutionary growth in step in evolution from going from rocks to plants? Rocks just sit there. Plant will turn and face the sun, right? The leaf. Have you ever planted an avocado pit?
I have not, but I live in Canada, so no.
Oh, you live in Canada. Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
That explains everything. uh,
Okay, there's so much more where that could go, but yes.
right. Maybe explains why you're such a nice lady too. That's another. But you plant an avocado pit and it grows up and get these little leaves. Turn that plant in the pot around in the morning And a little while later, the leaves have turned so that they're facing the sun again.
That's so cool.
How does it do that? There's an awareness, a consciousness. It doesn't know that it is. It doesn't say, I am about to turn my leaf, but it does that. Um, Ants, army ants crawling through the jungle, next level, right? They have a mind that they all tap into, something Rupert Sheldrake called morphogenetic field, a singular mind. They can be walking in a straight line, a million of ants. And if they come to a river, what do? They keep walking. And, a couple of thousand of them drown and build up piles. And so finally they walk across and keep going. But the ones that are in the, you know, in the water that have drowned their physical body, they don't know it because they've all tapping into the singular brain, right? I can't think of an army ant, who says, "Dang, I finally make it to the front of the line and we're going through a river." Son of a gun. Doesn't happen. Then you get to animals. And this is all stuff in the book. Go into animals who have awareness of their own self, realize that I am the little animal running down from the burrow to the stream every day, right? And one day he stops and said, "Oh my goodness, I could go this way or that way. I don't have to go the same way I've been running every day just because everyone in, you know, my family has done that for generations." What a level of consciousness that is. Now you get to humans. We are not only conscious of that, but we are aware that we're you. And we are able to watch ourselves. So we can see ourselves thinking about it. But this is unfortunately what has made us realize we're separate from each other. Have you ever seen that bumper sticker? The one who dies with the most toys wins. Oh, it is disgusting.
No,
But
I'm actually the one who dies with the most toys wins?
toys wins. Yeah, what an awful bumper sticker. But I've actually seen that.
No.
Can you imagine how somebody must be so self-centered that, that's what they focus on? Not creating something good, not making it good for everyone.
Well,
We're
this
going in the wrong
is
direction. Yeah.
we are, and this is where, like, I mean, those people exist too. I think that we have this beautiful opposite sometimes where we get to see, like, I've seen people like you're describing, where it is all about the toys and only the toys, but at the core of it, they're not a very nice human. And it's just like, there's no toy that serves a purpose for me if I have to be nasty in the process to have the toy. That's not important enough for me.
Exactly. Exactly. You got it.
And I've come to a space of not judging that. It's just recognizing that we're very different. And I think sometimes we have to see the opposite to see and recognize what we want or don't want. And so, I think that that's an interesting perspective. And coming back home to who we are, who we're meant to be, I think that that's an interesting, like, that's coming back into our body. That's our intuition. That's how we speak, how we want to show up, how we want to treat humans, as you said. Be happy, kind. That's it. I just love this. I'm really curious. How do we? Because I see almost this bridge. Like, we have our intuition, and sometimes our intuition is really powerful, as I'm sure when you came out and you came through your near-death experience, it sounds like you were a different human in a sense. You went like, I'm going this route to do this work. I'm being called to do this.
Oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
exactly. I remember a couple weeks later, I was sitting on my sofa, crying my eyes out. And I'm like, Lord, why did I have to wait this long to find out? And I heard this little voice in my head said, "You've been on both sides of the river now."
Oh.
How
Yes.
could you explain this to somebody who hadn't been there if you hadn't been there yourself?
That's incredible. Was that your intuition, do you think, or what do you think that was?
Well, see, here's the point, Marsha. Is our intuition, the idea talks of this tiny little piece of meat, or is our intuition a concept that comes into our mind by the greater oneness?
Mhm.
We can't know the difference. Here's another thing from the book. I mean, I'm giving away too much because I want you people to experience it. But, all right, what if you were hit on the head,
Mhm.
knocked unconscious, and you come to in complete, total, absolute darkness? Your eyes are open, you know, nothing hurt, you feel fine, but you
Mm.
can't see a thing. And suddenly, there's a light above your head, bright, and you can see you're in a large place like, oh, let's say a big uh, football arena, and you see the light is now shining, and you go and you try to look at the light, but it's so bright you can't see it. You don't know anything about that light, right?
No.
All you know is it was off, now it's on, right?
Right.
You don't know that. You know why you don't know that?
Mm.
That could be true, but there's another possibility. What if instead of a light under the ceiling coming on, a lens opened up, allowing a light that had already been on outside to shine in? You couldn't tell the difference. The result would be the same. You'd still be able to see, but you wouldn't know the difference, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Okay. That is what I'm saying is the case with consciousness. We think, and scientists will tell us, oh, the brain produces the mind. We that. But what if what the brain does is open us up to a consciousness that's there and already exists? Everything else would be exactly the same. The larger the brain, the larger the mind. Well, that would be true in either case, wouldn't
Yes.
it, right? Um, my brain, a human brain allows us to experience much, much more than a dog, or a dog more than a frog more than a slug. Right?
Mhm.
Um, and this is where what humanity has got to realize now, that we are all connected. That because, as I said earlier, how boring it would be if we were all the same. You can do things that I can. I I can do things
Vice
probably that
versa.
you can. All right,
Right.
right. You said, did you say earlier you were a dancer?
Sure. I love music, but I wouldn't call
Okay.
myself a dancer.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard it
No
earlier
worries.
before we started recording. I thought, but um, I was a musician. I played violin, trombone. I taught myself jazz, piano. I sang in quartet, barbershop quartet. Traveled around the United States and Canada.
Oh, wow.
But this is what I did. Why did I do it? To go back to something I did much earlier, because it made me happy. Because I like doing it. Right? But I didn't kick extra points for football teams.
Mhm.
You know, I, I didn't do things that I can't do, but I love sitting back and watching others do them.
Mm.
You know? So we are created. I mean, all the different flowers there are. There's no right flower and wrong flower.
Mhm.
They're just different types. There are no right people and wrong people. There are just different types. What can we do to bring us all together and to understand that the way the world works best is if we use our skills and talents, not just for our own benefit, but for the good of all.
That's beautiful, which is exactly why you've written you have your 2 books. I love this conversation and what you're sharing. I mean, your first book was Letters to a Dying Friend?
Letters to a dying friend, but actually, and to show you how things work out, um, I sent a copy because it was based on the Tibetan book. I sent a copy of the early manuscript to the Dalai Lama, and he ended up writing an introduction to my book.
The Dalai Lama. Okay, just let that land.
Look
That
at
is
that
so
land.
just let
Oh
it
my goodness.
land.
Hello. How nice is that?
It's very nice. It's a beautiful like, I see this, we've had a lot of loss in the last couple of years in our family, and it's seeing it from, again, from a little bit of a different lens, from a space. When my mother-in-law passed, who was like another
Mhm.
mother to me, I actually ended up getting into the room, like, 5 minutes after she passed, and they wanted to, keep her there until I got there. And I got stuck in traffic twice, and there's one point I went, "Oh, you don't want me there, do you?" I laughed and I was like, "You don't want me there yet, do you?" I knew it. And when I got there and walked in, it was the most peaceful thing I've ever walked into. And I'm not saying that lightly because it was very traumatic for people, but I walked in and I'm like, "She's not here. Like, she's actually not here." And they're like, "She's right there." I'm like, "Oh, she's not there." She's not there. It's actually
Mhm.
she's like she's free. And I felt this level that I knew not everybody in the room had the same perspective as me, and I know it was a little bit much, but it felt very peaceful. And so I love that we're having these conversations like letters to a dying friend and sharing from this lens of I feel it's peaceful.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Um, I will share with you, based on what you said, that I was actually with my mother when when she died.
Mhm.
Um, Briefly, she made my sister her power of, account of attorney, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and I said, "Why?" She, I mean, I'm 5 years older. I mean, yeah, it wasn't anything wrong, but I just wondered what. She said, "Oh," she said, "you're too woo woo.
Oh.
If anything ever happened to me, you'd say go, 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 and she'll keep me around longer." Anyway, I was out living in San Francisco at the time. She was in New England. My sister called. Mom is in a coma. Only I flew across the country, and I was actually reading with to her from Letters to a Dying Friend. I told her, "Mom, we love you. People in coma can still hear you.
Yep.
Um, you've been a wonderful mother. We love you. Thank you for everything you've done for us." And I was performing something called therapeutic touch, where you run your hands over. I used to be a hospice chaplain.
Mm.
Where you run your hands over a person's body as they're leaving the body to help get the aura up through the highest chakra. All right.
Mhm.
And so anyway, my mother at one point opens her eyes, looks at me, never said a word, and I could read her eyes. Her eyes said, "Oh shit, he's here. If he came cross country, that
It's
must be it."
it's not good.
And, uh, and I said to Mom, I said, "It's okay. You can go. We love you. You're gonna get there. Look for the light, and she closed her eyes, and I could see her artery pulsing like this. And I kept performing this and talking to her, and it got less and less. And in 20 minutes, it stopped.
Mm.
And I checked
Wow.
her breath had stopped, and I went to turn to tell the nurses, because he was in the hospital at the time. And three of them were looking in the door. They said, "We've never seen anything like this. The peacefulness of the beauty." And truthfully, you brought this to me. I'm proud because you shared it and your feeling that you expressed. I realized I had helped her into the next world like she helped me into this world.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
And it was such a meaningful moment in my life.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with
Mm.
us because it's I don't know, everything that you're sharing is so beautiful, but it's sharing from this lens that, as we continue to shift ourselves, we can change relationships that maybe haven't even been the best relationships at times. Right? Everything
Right.
can change. And it's interesting because you don't necessarily change the person, but because you see things differently, you respond differently, they respond differently. And I just think it's a really beautiful the way that you've described it. It really lands. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Marsha, we cannot stop the war in Iran. We cannot stop the war in Gaza. We cannot stop the war in Ukraine.
Mhm.
But what we can do is make the world around us a little bit better. I got another story if you've got time. I
I have a
don't know.
few minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm on a bus when I live in San Francisco, going downtown. Early in the morning, I'm sitting on the sideways seat behind the driver. I'm an old guy, so I get to sit. All right. And the bus is crowded, and there's this one woman standing in front of me who's going back and forth every time the bus starts and stops, and she can't reach the bar above, and she can't reach the bar in the front. And I look down, and the guy next to me has got a briefcase in front of him on the ground. And I turn, "Excuse me, sir. If you put that briefcase on your lap, this young woman could take a half step forward and she could hold on to the bar and be that much safer." And he turns to me and he said, "That's gonna solve all the problems of the world."
And
And
I
I
wasn't
said,
actually trying to solve the problems of the world. I was just trying to like, can you just be kind?
"Bingo." That's what exactly I said. And no, it's not. But it will solve the problem in this little corner of the world. And he looked at the woman next to him who must have been his wife because she gave a look like, "If you know what's good for you,
You're
you'll
gonna listen.
be." Put it on her lap. She took her step forward. She got to the bar. We smiled at each other. That's what we can do. You know that the Tibetans have known this for years. They write in the Tibetan Book of the Dead that after we die, we get a balance scale. Like we're on the, justice hold. For every good thing we do, you get a white pebble. For every bad thing you do, you get a black pebble. And whichever one is stronger, that's where you go in your next life. But what the Tibetans also teach is that if you do something good for someone, and you get a white pebble, and then they do something good for someone else because of what you did, you get another white pebble. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. It's like ripples in a stream. If we do something nice and it goes out, you do something nice for your neighbor is okay, and he does something nice for his wife who does something nice for this person, and it
Ripples.
ripples. That's what we can do. We cannot stop, as I said, the major thing, but we can make it better around us. And when enough of us do it, then the effect will be seen around.
That is thank you. Thank you, thank you. If there was ever a time that this message is meant to be, it's now. Like it is now. I've even been
Yes.
saying with some of my clients, like and the people that I get to speak with is that, if there was ever a time for you to use your gifts, use your voice, like help others rise bigger, be bigger than what's happening. It's
Bingo.
now. It's
Yep.
100% now. It's 100% now.
That's
So,
it.
yeah, I love all of that. Where can people connect with you, Anton, and find your books and everything that you
Well,
do?
thank you for asking. They can find me at my website, Anton Grosz, GROSZ.com. Uh, you can go look at any of the online booksellers. My book, Handbook for a New Consciousness. You can get it through the online booksellers or from the connection through my own website.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. Spread the word. Write me a nice
Rating
review
a review.
on
Review the
Amazon,
book. Yeah.
and be nice. Enjoy life. It's designed for it. We're supposed to enjoy ourselves, right?
Mhm.
You know, I'll, there are. It has always bothered me. I don't know if should keep going or not, but the frequent. It has always bothered me that there are wars because people say, you use a different name for God than I do.
Mhm.
You just call it differently. And I have to tell you, my favorite name of God is an ancient Sanskrit one, Satchitananda. That's from three Sanskrit words, Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. I am aware that I am. Wow. Each of us has that within us. We exist and we're aware of it. How wonderful to be there. Now, what can we do to make it better for all of us? And that, my friend, is what it's all about. That's my story, and I'm sticking to
I'm
it.
sticking to it. I knew you were gonna say that. I love that. This has been a pleasure. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's the kind of conversations that I love to continue to put out into the world. So I've loved having you here, Anton. I do have one question for you, and it's a question I
Yes.
ask everybody at the end. And it is, what lesson in life are you most grateful for?
Well, obviously, that one day of learning that we are all connected. My NDE, near death experience, was the one day that changed my life 90 degrees. But I am grateful for the people who've been in my life. I'm grateful for my knowing that I wanted to be happy from the beginning. I'm grateful for my talent as a musician. And grateful that even as an old guy, I can still get around and do my stuff. But the connection to the oneness and knowing that, boy, that makes all the difference in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure in return for me too. Peace.
Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. If you feel called, please leave a 5-star review and I would be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you own your life.